Hello again and welcome back to another episode of Louisiana Catalyst podcast. The link right here on site at the Louisiana State Museum in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, here for Northern Exposure. I'm Vice President of Louisiana Catalyst, Deron Talley. As always, we have our visionary, our leader, our president, Mr. Quentin Durr himself.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Doing good, doing good. And we have a friend of the show, a brother to the show, a supporter and advocate of the show, council member for the City of Monroe, entrepreneur, mover and shaker and influencer, Mr. Doug Harvey.
Founding member of Louisiana Catalyst
as well. Founding member, that's right.
You know, a lot of work went in. He believed in the front end.
That's it.
Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. Man, we're in Northern Exposure. Tell me, what's your thoughts of this whole deal, man, and what are you hoping to accomplish from your perspective?
Yeah, so I had the opportunity to start coming down here 5 years ago. I was originally part of Leadership Washita, a leadership program that I absolutely recommend for people in our area, or if you're in a different, find one that's tied to your parish or somewhere really adjacent. And it's an opportunity to really get in front of department heads, a lot of networking pieces to think about, and really just have conversations, get feedback, really about what's going to move the needle in the state. And you have the opportunity to interact and really just kind of even ask tougher questions. I mean, because we're in a season right now where you've got a new governor, you've got essentially there's one party that has every part of the legislature, has the governor, and just really trying to see what that's going to mean for policy that comes our way. I've said this time and time again that the things that really, from a political level, that impact our lives are local and state level politics. Federal stuff just kind of rides a wave. Everybody should really think about like how this stuff applies to me, because it is a big part of it.
Right. So Doug, you're in manufacturing, also city council. What are some of the big things you wanted to accomplish today coming down here? Also, obviously represent Monroe, the city, but anything in particular, any pain points or?
Yeah, I think, even as we're talking today, as we're filming this, we're talking about whether or not we're actually going to have a constitutional convention and what that's really going to mean, because, I've always hope that some of these things, the concern is like, hey, are these things done with caution? Or we've had a lot really change since we've had a new administration come in. We've had a lot of things move to the legislature. There's criminal justice reform. It was part of a special session. Now we're in this general session here. And my thing is just like, ultimately I want to see progress, but I also want to see measured change too, because it's one of those things to where, sometimes we get really caught up in action that we aren't careful enough about our outcomes. Right. And because it's one of those things like, if you talk about manufacturing, it's about continuous improvement. So we say, hey, I'm going to save this type of money, I'm going to make these types of changes. But when you go back in 2 years, did you really get the outcome?
Right.
So, what I think, like I said, there's a lot of traction, there's a lot of things moving, and I just hope, especially when all the parties are aligned, that we're always very measured about how we accomplish it.
Well, and that's one thing I always love about Doug is the business approach and the thought behind everything he does. It's not an emotional response. It's very much
strategic.
A strategic response to get to where you're trying to go.
Yeah. And we need more leaders like you, man, with that strategic, intentional acts of service, of love for our constituents and the community that we serve.
I mean, I was reading about this the other day, and there's plenty of literature that talks about this. And it's talking about like, before you should disagree with someone, you should be able to actually know their argument and be able to recite it back to them. Because everybody on the other side of a coin, there's not many people that are just running around with ill intent.
Right.
They come through from their perspective, their background, and we're all the sum of our experiences. So that's what led them to this path. So it's all about a level of understanding, and I try to do that. I aspire to it. It's not always there, just like we all kind of fall short to some extent, but that's part of it. And I think that ultimately that's what you want from your leaders, whether it's in your corporate world, whether it's in your day job, but also especially in your political leaders, because it just affects much more than you think. I think whenever you come down here and you meet with different people, you think, okay, this is health, this is this, and it's easy to put like everything into a bucket, but it touches so many different things. You listen to Dr. Abraham talk about healthcare, but he touches on the workforce piece and
Right.
getting doctors here. He talks about the criminal justice piece and how mental health challenges ultimately lead to different actions.
Right.
So it's not just in one
It's all
bucket.
connected. Absolutely.
Well, Doug, man, we know it's a lot of information, a lot of folks you got to shake hands and hug next with, man. But we certainly thank you for taking time to pass by the show for another episode of Louisiana Catalyst, The Link. For Mr. Quentin Durr, I'm Deron Talley. Till next time, blessings and peace to you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.